So today's video is going to be a little bit of a tough love video because as OCD sufferers, we sometimes have to be told things very directly and straight to the point. Otherwise, we sometimes just don't get things. They really, the point doesn't come across. We really don't try and change our ways of doing things. So today I kind of also want to be like a little bit like just straight from the heart. But also like with a bit of a tough approach with that as well. And what I mean by that for today's video is that we have to stop taking things very literally and we have to stop taking OCD advice to extremes. And this is what I mean by that. Now, as OCD sufferers, what we will do is we will take one piece of advice and then we will think that, okay, this is a blanket piece of advice that applies to every situation, every single theme, and every single OCD sufferer. That is not how things go. Now, for example, avoidance. Avoidance is something that people will like understand as a notion that, okay, avoidance behaviors are compulsive and they can lead to you having more fear and more anxiety long term. So therefore, avoidance has to be cut out. But then people will also not contextualize that piece of advice as well. And what I mean by that is they will start questioning avoidance on every single level of their life. Oh, like I'm feeling cold and I want to wear a sweater, but wait, like does that mean I'm trying to avoid feeling cold and I want to feel warm and cozy and comfortable? No, I think that might be compulsive. Maybe I shouldn't wear a sweater. What? Like, come on, people. Like, come on. You don't have to be that literal about this. And I'm not even just like, yes, of course, there's some comic relief over here, but at the same time, I'm not even like kidding where OCD sufferers will take things like to like big extremes. It's also like, oh, like me, using my phone is compulsive. So, okay, now I need to like stop using my phone completely. But wait, like, but I was spending like I did spend like 10-15 straight minutes talking to my friend or girlfriend or boyfriend. Does that mean I was being compulsive again? Oh no, like maybe I was being compulsive. Maybe I can't have those conversations. What like of course like you have a friend who you've been friends with for many years. You have a partner. Of course there are going to be conversations that will require sometimes you to be there for like 10-15 minutes of a stretch. Like that in itself then doesn't become like this big compulsion that, oh my god, I have to get rid of it, right? You again, as an OCD sufferer, sorry about the hair, just happens, my hair just like goes in so many different shapes. But you have to like really have the ability to contextualize yourself as well. And I know that as an OCD sufferer, everything will be doubtful, everything will be like, oh, but maybe this is compulsive, maybe that is compulsive. That is your classic fear because you're really afraid of doing the wrong thing that's going to mess up your mental health and keep you stuck forever. Big belief for all OCD sufferers to break down. Probably like one of the absolutely core common fears that literally almost every OCD sufferer has at some point. So that's a big one to break down. But also like, I mean, if I were to put it like very plainly, have also some common sense. Like you have to be able to develop some common sense on on your own as well. Again, it will be very confusing, but you have to give yourself some room for trial and error over here as well, and also just being able to like taking the risk. Like, okay, fine, like maybe if something feels compulsive but you're not sure about it, sure, I'm going to like do it and see how it goes as well, because you're not always going to have the insight and the clarity in every single situation that this is indeed a compulsive thing or this is indeed an avoidance behavior that I need to get rid of. And again, yes, OCD will be a part of your life far more than you think. You are probably doing a lot of OCD related behaviors and holding a lot of irrational beliefs in far more areas than just your OCD theme. But again, you have to, and it's an ongoing process. It's literally almost like a daily balancing act. It's a daily contextualizing act as well, which again, even me saying that, I know what OCD sufferers will think, hearing what I'm saying, which is like, oh my god, now I have to each and every single day contextualize. again, like, you don't have to take it to an extreme. Not every single thing has to be analyzed that way. However, yes, you do have to develop a capacity to, like, apply some uh, contextualization, and also in that contextualization also start developing some common sense. Now, like, common sense is not something that is like, oh, I don't have common sense, so therefore, like, I mean, I can't have it ever, and I'm just like this dumb person. Like, no, like, common sense is something that also can be developed as you go on in life. There are so many areas in, like, of life itself, of daily living in society where, like, I don't know some things very well. Like, my understanding about, let's say, economics and business is not the best. However, I am now developing, like, a lot of understanding about it and some common sensibility about it, and seeing that, okay, like, it's common sense that things would be this way and that way, right? So it can be developed, but, like, you have to stop taking things so literally. Stop taking things to an extreme. Like, come on, like, what are you doing to yourself? What are you doing to yourself? Like, just because avoidance, for example, is a bad thing for OCD, like, does that mean that, okay, now you have to avoid staying, like, at home at 2 a.m. because it's like, no, I should face my fear of going out on the road at 2 a.m. and just, like, walking in the dark, in a dark alley where I know I can be robbed or stabbed or killed or kidnapped. So, because, hey, like, let's face that fear, no avoidance. Like, again, come on, come on. So, again, this video is not going to be super long. I wanted it to be super short, but I really kind of, like, wanted the point to get across over here, because people will then just take a blanket approach, even with acceptance as well, right? Like, in some areas of your life, for example, acceptance will mean not taking action towards a certain thing. Like, what's a good example I can take? With relationship OCD, for instance. A lot of people in relationship OCD will obsess over the fact that their partner has a certain flaw, personality wise, and maybe they need to speak to the partner about that flaw, right? And of course, that can become then very compulsive, because a lot of people with that fear will constantly tell their partner, hey, I don't like this about you. Hey, I think this is what you need to change. Hey, I think this is something that you should do differently, right? So they will overcorrect their partner all the time. So part of practicing acceptance in that case will be not taking any action, which is sitting with the discomfort of your partner doing that bad, personality quirk or whatever, and you sitting with that discomfort of feeling like it's making you not like them, right? However, again, context over here is really important, because then that doesn't mean that in every single situation in life where you have to practice acceptance, it means non-action. In some areas of your life, acceptance will have to also come with you taking a certain kind of action as well. And again, it literally is very different for each situation, which is why it's so important to develop that understanding, and which is why it's also important to understand that OCD advice is not as blanket. With some things, yes, I mean, cutting your compulsions goes for every single OCD sufferer. Working on your beliefs goes for every single OCD sufferer. Doing your important exposures, again, it goes for every single OCD sufferer. So there are some pieces of advice which are kind of like blanket. However, like, and those are just like the broader things, but not in every single thing. Like, you really do have to see the different contexts, and this is where, like, videos can only go so far in helping someone, because you do have to look at the individual situation. Maybe someone will come in whose big avoidance is, in fact, not saying anything back to their partner, or not critiquing them at all. So for them, in fact, the acceptance part of the thing will be to say something critical to their partner. Hey, this is something I don't quite like. So that kind of, like, confrontational aspect is going to be the acceptance part of it. Again, context is so important. Or if you see your partner, I don't know, like speaking to other people online, maybe, right? Or if you see them, I don't know, not brushing their teeth at night, despite the fact that they just had two root canals and they've had like a couple of really bad cavities, of course, like tell them to be like, go brush your teeth before going to sleep, because it's going to mess up your teeth even more and it's going to aggravate the problem. So you can, like, of course, there's certain things where you can do certain like actions as well. So again, back to that point, contextualize, context. It's so important, guys. And you have to have that adaptability and not take things so literally and to so many different extremes all the time. It has to be something that it's a constant adapting process, and it's a constant like kind of like weighing out process a little bit as well, and again using some common sense with certain things. But it takes time to develop that. It's not something you can get overnight. There's no like binary of like, okay, these are the situations where acceptance means taking action, and these are the situation, like there's no categorical thing as well. Each situation in every person's life and their dynamic with another person is so complex and so different. It is so different. Like there, it's so hard to like, because when I speak to people, I do like ask them about their life first. I ask them what their at times, like if they're talking about, let's say, their relationship with their colleague, right, and their frustration with their colleague or something like that. I do ask them for context. I'm like, okay, how often do you have to work with this colleague? How many projects do you have to collaborate on? Like, are they higher up than you? Are they lower than you? When did they join? So there's so many things that you have to look at to really like see what different factors are at play in order to then understand, okay, like this would be avoidance, this would be compulsive, this would be how you apply acceptance, this is where you can take action, and this is where you shouldn't take action. So guys, guys, just like really think about some of these things and really think about what are you doing, and are you really taking like pieces of advice to different extremes, and are you really trying to see where the advice fits in different situations or not. Thank you for coming to my TED talk. That's all. Bye.